The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. This is Doc Severinsen along with Tommy Newsom and the NBC Orchestra inviting you to join Johnny and his guests, Joe Beth Williams, Elia Baskin, and a man who plays his tendons, Dr. Jim King. And now, here's Johnny.
And the last guest I have not met. He will be out shortly. His name is Dr. Jim King. And exactly what does he do, Peter? How would I describe this?
Oh, I have no idea.
Our producer has no idea. He
plays his tendons.
He plays his tendons.
Wait a minute.
Yes. What?
He says he doesn't play his tendons. He has musical tendons.
He has musical tendons. I don't know, but it's kind of weird. But sure, the crowd will appreciate that kind of stuff. So stay where you are. We'll be back in just a couple of seconds. Thank you. Oh, you're nice tonight. Thank you. Okay, now. My first guest tonight, Dr. Jim King, is actually a doctor. He's an optometrist from Rapid City, South Dakota. And he got in touch with us after seeing a fellow we had on the show some years ago, and then it was repeated on the anniversary show by the name of Bill Toomey. Do you remember Bill Toomey?
Yep.
Who came out and...
Manualist,
and played strange songs. I mean, great notes and everything right on with his hands. And apparently, Dr. King has an unusual left hand. And... That's what the show's here for, folks, to bring these kind of things to you. Would you welcome Dr. Jim King? Good to meet you.
Johnny.
How are things back in the Midwest?
Fine, very good.
Glad the winter is over?
Well, it's not. It looks like there's snow coming in from Denver area. Hope we can get back.
In South Dakota, I'm telling you, you never know when it's going to end. Now, I understand you were coming out here on a trip anyway, and you decided to give us a call.
Yes, I'm an optometrist, and I deal with reading and vision and learning and memory, things of this nature. And I put on a course last Sunday, actually, at the Southern California College of Optometry on memory strategies to improve reading and spelling performance. And I had read, about 6 to 8 weeks ago, an article about how you know when you've arrived in life.
Yeah.
And one of the hallmarks of fame was to appear on the Johnny Carson show. And Shirley Woods, your coordinator, was quoted as saying, you don't have to be a rich or a millionaire or a star if you have a special talent, like the manualist.
Right.
And I thought, well, I can't do that, but I have a very strange and wonderful left hand.
Well, we're going to get to that later because we want to hold this crowd at home as long as we can. We don't want to tip the big stuff yet. Was it tough to get through here?
Well, I called first. It took a lot of courage to call, but I called first, and the first time I got disconnected. I thought maybe they had seen my show. Secondly, I called and asked for Shirley, and she was out to lunch. So they said, call back in an hour. Call back in an hour, and she was in conference.
In conference.
So Barbara, her assistant, said, could I help you? Well, I said, I'm Dr. Jim King. I'm coming to California, et cetera, et cetera. I'd make myself available for an interview either Monday morning or Monday afternoon before I go back on the plane. And she said, well, that's fine except for two things. One is we don't audition for the Johnny Carson show. Mm-hmm. And secondly, she said, Shirley Wood's going to be out of town on vacation Monday. So I said, is anyone else there available to see me? And she said, well, I don't know. What do you do? And I said, I have musical tendons.
That must have got their attention right off.
And she said, musical whats? And I said, musical tendons. And she said, well, what do you play? And I said, well, I only have 5 tendons, so I can play anything with 5 notes. But I specialize with Mary Had a Little Lamb. And she said, just a minute. And she put me on hold.
Yeah, well, we call the hospital and come and get you, right? Okay.
So I can imagine what went on during this time. But she came back and she said, well, give me your name and number again, and I'll chat with some of the coordinators. If they're interested, we'll call you back. And I thought this was the old, don't call us, we'll call you routine. Well, I went down to my assistant and I said, in the event I get a call from the Johnny Carson show, please put them through.
Naturally.
And
even if you're in surgery.
Yes. And she said, and if President Reagan calls, shall I put him through too? You know, a little disbelief. So I went back to my training patient that I was working with, little Billy, and he came in with very depressed. And I said, Billy, what's wrong? I feel so good. And he said, well, got a headache. And I said, well, what's wrong? Do you have a bad day at school? And he said, it's a migraine. And I said, well, I'm feeling so good, I might go on the Johnny Carson show. And he said, well, he started perking up, and so I did a couple of tricks for him, and his headache went away. And I said, so if the Johnny Carson show should call, I may have to leave you, so please understand. So within 5 minutes, they called, and I said, was I weird enough for you? And they said, apparently they want to see you. So I had an interview, and
here you are.
Here I am.
Okay, now, you set the basis for this whole thing. And we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we'll find out what's going to happen.
Okay.
I have not seen this, so stay where you are. We'll be back. Okay, we are back. We're talking with Dr. Jim King. Now, Doc, before you do your little special here, there's something you want to mention about this.
Yes, well, the thing that I'm really here for, initially was for the MKM reading systems, a technique using mnemonic, memory-aiding pictures to help children learn how to read and write and spell.
Right.
It takes a little more time than what we have to do that, so I would just mention that, and I appreciate that.
I'd like you to get that in. Okay, now.
Okay, this is what you've been waiting for.
When did you discover you had this intriguing left hand?
Well, I started magic about 5th grade, I suppose.
Right.
And I put on my first magic show at 7th grade level, and then gradually I started doing some things that were just kind of strange. People would say, you know, can you do this or can you do this?
Is there a little exercise to keep your hands flexible?
And I said, well, I don't know, can you do this and that? And then suddenly I developed a whole routine. For example, let me just kind of, can I use your coffee cup for
Certainly.
just a minute? Oops, I dropped a penny already. If I have a...
we're going to get a camera in here
okay.
close now. All right.
I hope I can do this. If I have a penny like this, you can see that it kind of bounces. Well, that didn't do it. This, I've ruined my penny now. This is, what happens is that I have...
Now, can you see this, folks, here?
Knuckles that move.
He's got little tendons in there that do weird things.
Now, this kind of is a lead for my musical tendons. And I have to have a camera kind of here like this. And you kind of have to imagine that this is like a keyboard of a piano. And if you can see perceptibly, I hope, little notes. And what this is Bob, are you ready for the...
So Bob Bain is going to accompany you on the guitar.
This is called Jim King playing Mary Had a Little Lamb on his musical tendons, accompanied by Bob Bain and Jim King on the vocal. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. Snow, white as snow. That's not it. Now, I do a couple of other things, Johnny, that you could kind of come along to. First, I have to get warmed up.
Of course you do.
And you might try this as well. This represents an eye of a needle. This the needle, and this the thread. And the trick is to get the thread through the eye of the needle. Now we have 3 strands of thread. We put the big one through. We'll put the middle one through. And then finally we'll put the little one through. Now it looks real easy, but everybody make an eye and see if you can thread...
Put the second finger in...
the needle.
Well, I mean, if you have...
Now, if you've been practicing, you can balance a penny on the end of the thread and bring it through. Now, the next one is called London Bridge. This, you touch the index finger with the little finger like this. Try it, Johnny. It's not too tough. There we go. And then if you touch the index finger and the little finger behind, that's close.
Yeah.
At any rate, with them touched in front, can you get the camera close? With them touched in front, bring these other two through, still keeping them touched.
I can get.
Well, this builds up to what's called the penny trick.
Oh, all right. I knew there was a finish to this.
You've been doing these?
I'm trying.
Okay, big finish.
Big finish. This is the penny trick, and I hope it worked. 4 pennies placed one on each finger. Need the camera again.
Okay.
The trick is to try to get all 4 pennies over to the thumb, moving them, whoops, from one finger to the other. This is impossible, so it doesn't always work.
Well, I guess.
Maybe I should quit. Sometimes when one falls down there, I can recover it, go like this, and put it back on. Close enough.
Well, Doc, that's remarkable. Well, thank you for being here. Really, have a nice trip. Thank you, Doc. I hope Ed Sullivan is watching from heaven. I wish I'd have had him. Dr. Jim King with his fingers. Ed somewhere is so happy. It's just too late. We'll be back. Jo Beth Williams is here, and Olivia Baskin also.